Every sports party needs a gigantic mountain of carbohydrates, but today is extra special. I am making my pan-fried veggie noodles, which are chewy and saucy and greasy in exactly the way you want them to be. And they're so easy. They just all come together in one big skillet. I'll start by making my sauce. I'll combine 2 tablespoons of soy sauce with 2 tablespoons of dark soy sauce, which is sweeter and thicker than standard soy sauce, and it coats the noodles and it gives them that characteristic dark color. A couple of tablespoons of Shaoxing wine, which contributes acidity and depth and caramelized flavor. If you don't have this, you can substitute sherry wine. 2 teaspoons of sugar will help caramelize the sauce so it gets thick and coats the noodles. And the sweet, salty combo gets me going back for more. And then a teaspoon of toasted sesame oil for that gorgeous nuttiness and a boost of richness. Quick little whisk, and I'll set this aside. I've got this mountain range of produce, which makes me feel not that bad for shoveling all these noodles into my mouth. Balance. And I'll heat up some neutral oil. And then I'll cook these in stages, starting with the veggies that take the most time to cook. So I've got a small head of broccoli that's broken into florets and some snap peas. And I'll let these go until they've developed some great color. This is like my ideal version of those greasy Chinese takeout noodles. And I just love making it from scratch because our closest Chinese takeout restaurant is all the way on the other side of town. So by the time we get them home, they're just not as hot, not as vibrant. This way I can eat them fresh right out of the pan. And I know my dad is not gonna mind because that's something he would do. That's a John Yeh move right there. I'm seeing some beautiful brown splotches. I'm ready for the next round of veggies. I have some carrots and shredded cabbage. I'm cooking these for another few minutes until they wilt down and soften. Cabbage is my favorite vegetable to add with noodles because it melts down. It almost becomes invisible. That's one way I sneak some veggies into my kids. Okay, I'm gonna create a space in the center. Add a touch more oil, and then I'll plop in my aromatics and allow those to sizzle. I've got some sliced scallions. I'll just add in the white parts at this point, and then some garlic and some fresh ginger. I'll zest in a tablespoon. The scallions, the ginger, and the garlic bring it in the flavor department. You wanna let these sizzle for just about a minute or 2 until you can really start to smell them. And once they smell really good, that's how I know it's time to pile in the noodles, because doing so is actually gonna prevent the garlic and the ginger from burning and getting overcooked. So I've got a pound of lo mein noodles here, which are so chewy. They are the best texture. And I've just boiled these according to the package directions. And before I add the sauce, I wanna cook them in some of this oil that's in the pan and give them some of that great color as well. That way you get some kind of crispy edges of the noodles and they get lightly fried. This is my dream. Okay, I'm ready for the sauce. I'll drizzle it right in. So I'll just kind of allow the sauce to simmer for a bit and thicken and encourage everything to meld together and become a perfect shovelable food. One of the greatest things about these noodles is that they're delicious at any temperature. Hot, right out of the pan, at room temperature when they've been sitting on the party table for a couple of hours. Cold out of the fridge when it's like late at night. My dad's favorite food group is leftovers. He'll have to fight me for these though. I'll get my serving bowl, pile these in. I'll finish with my scallion greens, and I have to make sure that they're okay for my dad. Just do one tester bite, just one. They're so chewy and perfectly salty. Who doesn't want a big platter of saucy noodles on game day? For one of the coolest party apps to ever touch down on a table, I am making my steamed pigs in a blanket. They are puffy, fluffy clouds of dough wrapped around sweet and salty Chinese sausage, steamed to perfection and dunked in Chinese mustard. We are all winners when we eat these wieners. I just thought of that. Okay. To make my bun dough, I am using the go-to dough that I use whenever I make steamed buns, and it uses a combination of cake flour and all-purpose flour, which yields the fluffiest dough. So 1 cup of cake flour. If you didn't have cake flour though, you could sub all-purpose. Your buns won't be as fluffy, but they'll still be really good. And then 2 cups of all-purpose flour. 6 tablespoons of granulated sugar. Sweetness is a hallmark of steamed bun dough. And then 2 1/4 teaspoons of instant yeast will help these rise and get fluffy. And 3/4 of a teaspoon of kosher salt. I'll whisk this to combine. And I use this dough when I'm making steamed pork buns or veggie buns. It's very versatile and really easy to come together. For my wet ingredients, just water and a little oil. This water is warm to about 105, 110 degrees. That helps the yeast activate. You don't want it to be too warm because it will kill the yeast. And 2 tablespoons of neutral oil will add nice softness to the dough. Okay. And lastly, I don't always add this to my steamed bun dough, but it'll be really pretty and festive for our Super Bowl party. I'm adding some sliced scallions. I'll mix this around into a shaggy dough before I get it onto my stand mixer to knead. Every year, Nick and I throw a Super Bowl party, and honestly, it really is just an excuse for me to make and eat a lot of pigs in blankets. I've made so many different variations on them with puff pastry or crescent dough, but this steamed bun dough takes the cake. I'll get this onto my stand mixer and knead it with a dough hook for about 10 to 12 minutes until the dough is smooth but still slightly sticky. You can knead this by hand too if you want to get an arm workout in before the party. The scallions smell good. At this point, the dough should be just cleaning the sides of the bowl. If it does seem too sticky, you can dust it with a little bit more flour. Okay. This looks super smooth, and if I poke it, it's still a little tacky. Boop. I'll stretch it into a smooth ball, and then place it face down into my bowl, smush it around so that it gets coated in oil, and turn it back over, and then I'll cover this up and allow it to rise until it's doubled in size. My dough is puffy and ready to get even more delicious with the help of lapchang. Lapchang is a hard pork Chinese sausage that is sweet and salty and so fatty. And when the fat from the sausage seeps out into the bun, it is like mind-blown amazingness. To shape, I'll get my dough out onto my counter. I'll keep it covered when I'm not working with it so it doesn't dry out. And then I'll just lob off a piece of it. And the most secure way to wrap a pigs in a blanket is to roll your dough into a snake and then coil it around the sausage. Wrap it with a little bit less dough than you think you're gonna need because it does rise quite a bit. You wanna give it a tight wrapping. All right, I'll keep on going. My dad and I always used to go to Chinatown in Chicago when I was growing up, and we would eat so many steamed buns. I would always remove whatever barbecue pork or veggies or meat were in the filling and give him the filling, and then I would eat just the fluffy bun dough. If they had been wrapped around hot dogs or lapchang, I would have eaten them though. All right, I've got a bamboo steamer that I've lined with parchment that I've poked some holes into so that the steam can come through. I'll space these out evenly. And these do get quite puffy, so I wanna make sure to give them some space in between. And I'll sprinkle with some black sesame seeds because that'll look really pretty. I'll keep on rolling. These have got to rise for another 30 minutes before I steam over a pot of boiling water. And then they'll steam for 20, rest for 10, and then I'll devour.
He's got it! Oh, what a kitty catch!
The anticipation is real. Hello! They look so good and puffy. They're just begging to be eaten. I've got the necessary hot Chinese mustard accompaniment, the extra little sparkly zing. Oh my God, they're so good. That sausage is so snappy and the bun is perfectly sweet. This is my happy place. Touchdown, yay.